The United Nations Atomic Agency says Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear power plant has lost all off-site power. That's after a series of Russian strikes targeting Ukraine's electricity grid. Power to other nuclear facilities has also been impacted. In a post on X, the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, said that several Ukrainian electrical substations vital for nuclear safety were affected by widespread military activity. The IAEA says it is following developments to assess the impact on nuclear safety. While Chernobyl is the site of the world's worst nuclear catastrophe, a reactor exploded there in 1986. The facility requires external power to secure nuclear waste from that disaster. Ukraine's foreign minister has accused Russia of deliberately targeting electricity substations that supply power to its nuclear facilities and using, quote, nuclear risk as a tool of coercion. Let's bring in Hashim Ahelbara, who's in Davos, Switzerland, where he's joined by the IAEA's chief, Rafael Grossi. Hashim.
Indeed, Folly, and this is exactly what we're going to start talking about with the chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, about the latest developments and the incident at the Chernobyl nuclear facility. Mr. Grossi, thank you very much indeed for joining Al Jazeera. Could you just give us a sense of an update about what happened at the site and how do you see it moving forward?
Well, there has been a wave of attacks, lots of military activity these last few days. Today, in particular, affecting a number of substations, which are critical to provide energy to the grid, in general, the Ukrainian grid. And as we informed today, the IAEA informed today, the supply of electricity to the Chernobyl site has been interrupted, but that has been affecting also other parts of the country. In general, there is a very important energy deficit because of this, and we are monitoring this very closely because it may have an implication on the safe operation of the other nuclear power plants, Rivne and South Ukraine.
On that particular issue of the nuclear safety at those plants, could this be the moment to further raise awareness about the need to beef up safety procedures to prevent a catastrophic outcome similar to the one that happened in the
we are following this. We are following this. We have been following this in Zaporizhia, of course, and now in the Ukrainian, across the Ukrainian territory, so that a problem is avoided. We are in close contact. Don't forget that we have experts deployed not only in Zaporizhia but in all other nuclear facilities in Ukraine, which allows us to form an immediate opinion of the situation at each nuclear power plant, make recommendations when needed. When episodes like this happen, normally there is a regulated management of the functioning of a plant. It is reducing its regime so to avoid accidents. But of course, it is a very delicate situation.
I would like to ask you about another issue, which is Iran. Your inspectors were there in December. They visited some facilities. Could you further elaborate on this?
Well, after the 12-day war past June, inspections were, of course, interrupted. And ever since, we have been trying to reconstruct our inspection activity, which is indispensable in Iran. We have been able so far to complete inspections in all the sites that were not affected by those attacks. But obviously, we have Natanz, we have Isfahan, we have Fordo, which were affected by the attacks, but where nuclear material still exists and important equipment is there. So, according to the legal commitments that Iran has, this need to be shown to the IAEA so that we can provide credible assurances that there is no diversion of material and there is no proliferation risk. We have been discussing with Iran. We haven't been able so far to get to this, but I am confident that we will find some solution. I'm in contact with the government constantly, with the foreign minister in particular, about this.
Until a few days ago, there were a chance for an airstrike or attacks targeting Iran, which raises tension, and this leaves the option for a way out to the crisis very remote, particularly a new nuclear deal with Iran. Where does it leave you? Where does it leave the work of the IAEA and your teams on the ground?
Well, that convinces us even more of the absolute necessity of our work with a restoration, with a full restoration of the inspection work of the IAEA there, with a long-term diplomatic solution of the situation around the Iranian nuclear program. The possibilities of further attacks will diminish dramatically, almost to zero. So this convinces us even more of the urgency to find common ground, and I hope we will be able to do that.
Thank you very much indeed,
Thank you very much.
Mr. Rafael Grossi. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Folly, as you saw earlier today, was a busy day here in Davos with talks about future relations between the EU and the Americans, fears about further instability, and the attempt by the Europeans to salvage a deal with the American administration. Otherwise, the Europeans are saying that they are going to Brussels on Thursday with the potential of triggering the so-called trade bazooka, an instrument the Europeans never used, and many fear if used this time, it could mean that American-European relations will never be the same again.
Hashem, thank you for that. Hashem Maherbara in Davos, Switzerland. And as Hashem mentioned, it's a...
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.